industry experts who will share the details of this program and resources that can assist rural communities in their deployment of clean transportation strategies. All attendees are in listen-only mode as this webinar is being recorded. We will provide the opportunity for a Q&A at the end of this presentation. So please type any of your questions into the chat and we will address them at the end of the presentation. So my name is Carl Lissick and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. I'm the Executive Director of Drive Clean Indiana, our state's sole U.S. Department of Energy designated Clean Cities and Community Coalition. Several Clean Cities directors and the Transportation Energy Partners envisioned this project. Funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, the 7-state project was awarded just on the cusp of the COVID-19 epidemic. This created many challenges, but today we are here to share successes and resources that will support future advanced technology transportation deployments for rural communities. We have a jam-packed agenda and some great presenters who will take us through this webinar today. Before we get into our wonderful lineup of speakers and their presentations, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Drive Clean Indiana and its role in the National Clean Cities and Community Program. The Clean Cities Coalitions and Communities Network, as part of the U.S. Department of Energy, is a coordinated group of more than 75 active coalitions covering every state here in the United States, helping local decision makers and fleets understand and implement alternative renewable fuels and idle reduction measures, fuel economy improvements, new mobility choices, and emerging technologies. Clean Cities and Communities coalitions foster the economic, environmental, and energy security of the United States by working locally to advance affordable domestic transportation fuels, energy-efficient mobility systems, and other fuel-saving technologies and practices. Coalitions accomplish this by building partnerships with public and private sector transportation stakeholders. Drive Clean Indiana is a nonprofit organization celebrating 26 years of work in the clean transportation sector. Through our efforts, we help to evaluate transportation needs and energy choices to determine the most impactful and cost-effective vehicle options, fuels, technologies, and best practices that make sense for specific stakeholder applications. We also help shift to domestic energy sources through fuel-neutral diversification, including natural gas, propane, hydrogen, electric, ethanol, biodiesel, and renewable diesel. We improve fuel efficiency through state-of-the-art technologies and strategies. We also help reduce harmful emissions through idle reduction and other fuel-saving technologies and practices. And we also demonstrate and assess new mobility choices that maximize the return on investment in terms of time, cost, energy, and opportunity. Through these technologies and strategies, we assist communities and businesses and help secure over $75 million in this past funding in 2024, so $75 million. So the result included improved air quality, economic development, and support of local jobs, all of which contribute to an enhanced quality of life. And our portfolio focuses on fuel neutrality, recognizing that transportation sector currently lacks a single solution. As I mentioned earlier, the Drive Rural USA project was launched with the partnership between 7 Clean Cities coalitions and the Transportation Energy Partners, who took the lead on this project. We realized that rural communities face unique challenges, including limited staff resources, data collection and availability issues, supply chain problems, and budget constraints, among others. This project was designed to raise awareness, bridge the knowledge gap, and dispel common misperceptions regarding alternative fuels and technologies. This project also helped to provide evidence of economic viability and empower rural communities to reduce environmental impacts in the transportation sector. The transition to alternative fuels and technology also creates opportunities for job creation, especially in underserved rural areas. At a local level, Drive Clean Indiana collaborated with the national group to support education and outreach efforts for the project. This involved providing fleet assessments to Monroe County, Spencer County, and Warwick counties here in Indiana, and offered solutions for deploying sensible transportation solutions. Drive Clean Indiana hosted several events across the state and virtually to allow communities to engage with industry experts and participate in ride and drive opportunities to learn about available technologies. The 7 Clean Cities and Communities coalitions were the boots on the ground at a national level. The Transportation Energy Partners coordinated the efforts and developed resources that are being made available for rural communities across the country. Stephen Montoya serves as the Executive Director of the Transportation Energy Partners. He joins us today to share additional details regarding the Drive Clean Rural USA project, including the replication playbook. Stephen, welcome, and I'm glad you're here today to present. Stephen Montoya, folks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Carl. Really appreciate your creating the space and opportunity for this conversation. Also want to extend my appreciation, echoing Carl's statements towards the Department of Energy and all of the coalitions that participated in the work over these past 5 years to help drive the Drive Clean Rural USA project. I will quickly just note that I am unfortunately taking this call from a busy airport, so please excuse any background noise you might hear. But I will dig into the project itself, some background, some of the learnings that surfaced over the years that the project ran, and also the replication playbook that we've created to help serve as a plug-and-play opportunity for fleet managers, allies, or even coalitions themselves, or folks who work at OEMs or industry partners can take to implement some of not just the learnings, but can use to help facilitate this expansion of infrastructure for clean technology, clean fuels, clean energy.
You just arrived. 6 as he left, and you're pretty touch with charging.
Before we start, also do want to thank our project partners, Secure, Alliance Auto Gas, Transportation Association, and Toyota, Altec, Ingevity, NGV America, and PERC. They were so central to providing IVP vehicles for demos that the coalitions ran, helping to facilitate not just demonstrations of the technology and the vehicles themselves, but also attending trade shows and really identifying what are some of the key challenges that rural communities face and what are some solutions that we can use to overcome those challenges. Great. Fantastic. So as a broad overview, DCR USA was envisioned as an opportunity to engage, educate, and identify best practices. We understand that any project of this sort, especially one that is designed intentionally as a learning project, has both has a short shelf life, but also it has the inherent responsibility of creating fruitful ground, of seeding that ground, so that even after project itself completes, that there is a history or a body of knowledge that others can take and utilize to expand on the foundation that this project is set. And specifically, right, we're talking about rural communities. When we think about infrastructure, especially rural energy infrastructure, we oftentimes are predisposed to emphasize urban environments. There are more vehicles, more cars, more people, more infrastructure, and rural communities oftentimes receive short shrift. And so this project is specifically sought to identify how we can flip that script and how we can ensure that rural communities are doing really interesting and fantastic things, and because of that, the framework of the really interesting and fantastic things they're doing, how do we help to expand and grow that? Next slide, please. Great. I'll just buzz right past this because Carl talked about it already, but the Clean Cities and Communities Coalitions were really the boots on the ground for this project. Would not be possible without the 7 coalitions that served as key partners in driving the work. For myself, I have the honor of leading Transportation Energy Partners. Our work is to convene the nation's 75 Clean Cities and Communities coalitions with clean transportation industry advocates and partners, and our entire mandate is advancing policies of independence on petroleum-based fuels. Great. Maybe kind of go through this very quickly as well. Right, our goals of the project were to expand economic growth and viability, or demonstrate the cost savings of alternative fuels. Really, again, empowering rural communities As an overall theme here is the environmental benefits of clean energy, clean fuel adoption, and also a heavy emphasis on workforce development. And you have a map here that lists out as well the coalitions that are so central to this work. Next slide, please. Oh, great. So we referenced before the tools and resources that have been created as part of this project. So there's been 5 years of research and analysis that has led to the creation of a replication playbook. This playbook really has 3 intended audiences, right? Rural fleet managers, rural community leaders, and supporting organizations. And the idea here is we wanted something that we could hand off to folks who are going to continue this work and expanding infrastructure for communities. So a rural fleet manager, someone who owns, operates, or manages a fleet of vehicles that operate in rural spaces. A rural community leader is someone who, they may not manage a fleet, they may not be part of an organization, but they want to help advance the work of clean transportation. And a support organization, obviously dealers, OEMs, fuelers, or associated nonprofits who want to help similarly want to help advance this work. Great. So we wanted to lay out here a bit of the design intention for the playbook itself. And so when you are accessing, especially the web version, the decision tree here is around which of the 3 audiences do you belong to, and what are the opportunities for you to learn more. So obviously there are larger scale, FAQ page, a resource guide, links to the other work that Transportation Energy Partner does, but also if you're a rural fleet manager, it's around you're identifying your needs and assistance, making plans, taking action. One of the key findings we discovered was a lack of universal telemetrics for fleets and fleet managers to understand and assess the potential impact, the real impact, and the cost savings from adopting or switching from petroleum-based fuels to electric or diesel or propane or whatever fuel solution works best for them, which again itself underscores the fact that Transportation Partners, Green Cities and Communities, and the DCR USA project across the board, fuel agnostic. Our idea is working with all of the above strategy. We want the best fuel for the best environment, for the best purpose, and the best situation in which a fleet or a community or a partner organization is involved in. Your community leader, the focus is instead around how are you engaging stakeholders? What's your message development look like? How are you leveraging partnerships? If you're a support organization, it's really tools, resources. The resource guide includes, the replication playbook includes a resource guide that links out to available funds that a support organization can take advantage of in order to go out to this work. Because again, we understand that anyone who's doing this work, there needs to be sustainability, and it's insufficient to take on a project for a single year. It very much becomes just a drop in the bucket. Next slide, please. Great. These are just some images that are drawn from the playbook itself. On the left of the screen, you'll see the PDF version. This is available for download on Transportation Energy Partners website. And on the right, you'll see just some of the screen grabs from the website. And this is the resource guide that I mentioned. So there are over 20 direct links for the convenience of the Indian community. If you're curious about tax credits that are available, some of which are obviously expiring, if you're curious about potential funding opportunities, if you're curious about how to just get more involved and more engaged, that's precisely what the resource guide is. That's the use case. So some project successes. We increased awareness and education in each of the rural communities in which the project ran. We increased interest in understanding funding and grants, not only during the course of the project itself, but also specifically, again, with this resource guide that's part of the replication playbook. The coordination and connecting external stakeholders. So much of what the Clean Cities and Communities Coalitions do is centered in being that connective tissue between a great idea or a great project and the people who actually implement that idea or those projects. And so this, DCR USA would not have been possible without the Clean Cities and Communities Coalitions. And strengthening relationships with decision makers. Ultimately, it's insufficient to have a really great idea and a lot of energy and a lot of passion about something if you're not directly engaging and if you're not moving the message to the decision makers who are ultimately going to sign off on either transitioning the fleet or adopting a telemetrics program. Next slide. Great. Project challenges, limited demonstration vehicles. This is something that we bumped against, but a number of our partners, whether it's Toyota or Berg or whomever else, were able to facilitate our receiving some demonstration vehicles that the coalitions could utilize. And we found oftentimes that it's just some of the trepidation or reticence to adopt is due to inertia. I think if someone has a solution that they're currently working on a fleet, and they just don't know what the cost savings are, or they don't know what the impact is of switching from an old diesel bus to an electric bus. The Utah team had a really fantastic webinar a month or so ago, and they highlighted Zion National Park transitioning from old diesel buses to now electric buses, and the impacts and the positive outcomes went beyond just the cost savings from fuel expenses, but also the quality of life for bus drivers to the folks who are on these buses themselves, no longer having to deal with not just the emissions, but even just the noises and sounds of an old diesel engine. Next slide, please. Oh, great. I realize we're probably going to do Q&A at the end, but I just really like this question mark graphic, so I included it in all my slides. But if you use this QR code, it will take you directly to the replication notebook that you can, again, access either online or you can download. And my contact information is there as well. So if you have any questions that I don't address or don't answer during this webinar, feel free to reach out. And I will turn it back to you, Carl. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for being, we were honored to be part of this project. So, and thanks for the presentation, Stephen. Our next speaker is with Curlin Bus, as well as our DCI board president, Mr. Dave Dorsett. Dave?
Thanks, Carl, and thank you, Drive Clean Indiana and Stephen, Drive Clean Rural USA Projects, for allowing us to speak about our projects here with Curlin Bus Sales, Thomas Built Buses here in the state of Indiana. First up, why did EV buses make sense to the school bus industry? And from a dealer standpoint, it was a chance to be in the electric market, the school bus industry market. It also allowed us a great opportunity to implement new innovation. The zero emissions was very entertaining to us, as well as what the progress just was in the industry for school buses and for transportation of students. From a customer standpoint, it's total cost of ownership, the reduction there. It enhances the fleet. It had a good vibe, if you will, for the community, as well as it allowed the environment piece to play in with the community to enhance that quality of life in the community with the electric school.
I think we might be, oh, there we go. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave.
No, you're fine. You're fine. The Thomas Julie, also zero emissions, one of the only on the market that has an actual zero emissions. We also really try to enhance the noise pollution from a diesel bus, a gas bus, propane bus, where an electric vehicle has zero to minimal noise pollution, which is safety features of the Julie as well. That was part of our what makes sense to an EV to be able to promote that to the school bus industry. The Julie, from a Curlin standpoint, is more than a bus. As I said, it's zero emissions. It we offer a complete package from charger to charger software, from training the technicians, the mechanics, the first responders, emergency personnel, management training. All of those things go into play rather than just being an EV school bus or another piece of transportation. There is so much more that goes into this to be able to bring this to the rural school systems to be able to use this for transportation. Enabling us to do that. Next slide, please. We had to have some EV readiness, some education piece, working with the utility companies, infrastructure, the site developments. We were able to do that with partnering with Drive Clean Indiana to offer us a funding opportunity, grant writing, the data reporting of projects, and being able to work hand in hand with each entity that played a huge key role into us being able to implement our EV school buses. The charging companies continue communication with our projects from start through the progression to the finish. And again, today, with all the school buses that we have implemented, we stay on a day-to-day basis with their usage. Talk about the software. Very, very important component of EV school buses, the data log tool, which without this tool, I think we were hindering ourselves until we got this developed. It enables us to get the charger information, the bus information, the driver usage, the efficiency, the savings that goes into the electric vehicles in the rural communities, as well as even in the city communities. But being farther out in the communities with our rural school buses, this allowed us to stay at home type of feature or stay in the office to where we can track these buses with the telematics that really, really enhances the EV school bus in the industry and allows us to have a hands-on, even not being boots on the ground, to be able to track and keep track of when I talk the efficiency, the CO2s, the emissions that are saved, the cost of diesel versus the electric on the school bus side, as well as then the fault codes that we're able to obtain to help the technicians with the charger as well as with the bus to continue this bus to be in operation for us in our rural communities. With all that goes a lot of training, which I've mentioned. We train the drivers, we train the management, we train the administrators, we train the technicians, and then we train the first responders. And one thing that we're very, very proud of is we've got a trainer with Curlin Bus Sales where we're able to make them certified in EV training to allow them to be accessible to some of the back end of the electric school bus, which really helps our mechanics in the field in the rural communities to be able to continue to keep the EV vehicles up and running and in service for our school bus industry. So with Curlin, the commitment we had to the product was we started this process of mentioning it in 2019. We sold our first buses in 2020. We've got 53 buses currently active running as of to date with 9 school corporations. The dealership development, as I mentioned, we have 8 qualified certified technicians stationed throughout the state. We have our train the trainer certification school for the technicians. And then all of our sales personnel, our management, our upper management owners are all certified in the chargers and the software and educated in those fields as well to make this commitment work for the rural the communities of the schools. Just to give you a day in the life of a Julie EV school bus or any school bus for that fact. But for us, our Julie, we have kind of three different platforms here of the day-to-day charging and routes. The first one there is we charge it in the bus yard. It goes out, runs its normal route, comes back in for the lunchtime or the break in between routes, gets to 2 to 4 hour period to charge, and then it goes back out in the afternoon. And then it's able to charge all night at a lesser trickling charge capability, which saves the schools money on their electricity used or the kilowatts that are used. Then we've got some really unique opportunities with a few schools that which was a big question in the rural communities. Can we take these buses home? And the answer to that is yes. We have some schools that take the bus home. It stays at home like a contractor or a driver that drives for the school corporation that is allowed to take their bus home. They run their route. They come in their mid route. They get a little bit of a charge. Then they finish their afternoon route and then they go home. The bus sets overnight. The bus is managed to adhere to the mileage of their route with their route analysis. So then they're able to run that route, leave home the next morning, do the same thing, and get their charge time in the midday of the school day. So it works for that aspect as well. And then we've got which was something that really we didn't think about in the very beginning, but now we've got a pretty good handle on it where we can charge the bus of a morning or overnight, leaves in the morning, runs its route, comes back, has to do a quick charge to do a midday route or a special needs route or a kindergarten route or something in the middle of the day that bus is allowed to do or asked to do. And then it comes back, gets another afternoon charge on their break, and then returns for its afternoon pickup of a normal school day. And then it able to get that slow trickle charge at night for a less cost to the school corporation, for less wattage charge from the utility company. So the day-to-day life, we've able to obtain all the routes to make these work for rural communities, and all of these three stages are used in all of our rural communities. One particular school, Delphi Community School Corporation, was able to utilize the VW mitigation funds, and through Drive Clean Indiana, we were able to incorporate an electric school bus for them in a very, very small remote community here in Indiana that has a small number of students. It is a farm town. It runs this route totally in the country, gravel roads, those kind of aspects of central Indiana. But they also utilize a solar panel project where they were able to implement a solar panel field to help with the cost of their school buildings as well as the charge of their school bus. We have a few other schools in the state of Indiana that utilize this same project where they are able to bank kilowatts. In fact, we've got one school in southern Indiana, very, very southern part of Indiana, rural community, that has enough banking that the life of the bus, they will never purchase a kilowatt. They have banked kilowatts from the solar panel from the sun, giving the energy back into a storage bank where their bus will run its complete life in the country, in a rural community, with no cost to the school corporation other than the maintenance cost of that electric bus. So very, very unique opportunity. And the other piece I will add to this is we've also got schools that are building classes, the science classes and those kinds of things are actually studying the EV bus, studying the solar panels, studying the usage, studying the results, negative, positives, to try to stay up with the innovation and the education piece, to share with other classmates and share back with the school corporation of what they are finding, which also educates our young people in the EV industry and the new innovation that we have with the utilization of EV vehicles. A little bit on Delphi's ownership. They took service in 2020. They run it on a small route. They have 21, almost 22,000 miles on that vehicle. And there is some cost savings that you can see the difference between diesel and electric, with the CO on diesel, which on an EV is zero. The NOx is $3.99 on a diesel, and then it's zero on an EV, obviously, because of the zero emissions on a Thomas built bus, the Jubilee C2. In Indiana, since December of 2020, we have a little over 700,000 miles logged on all of our EV buses. They run, and you can see some of the savings down there. Diesel versus EV and the air pollutants, which is quite a bit of dollar value when you turn it into dollars and cents to make sense of where we're at with our Delphi ownership, as well as some Indiana data for your likings. EV national deployment, not just in Indiana, but in all rural communities. We've got a total market of 15,000 units to date, which is still quite a bit of electric buses. In Indiana, our market share is a little bit above 85% for electric vehicles for Thomas Built buses for Curlin. As you can see, my last point there, rural percentage usage continues to grow as our EV technology and commitment continues to improve with mileage increases, our route analysis development, and overall comfortability of deployment in the school bus industry. When schools get more comfortable with learning and managing, and they get the buy-in from the drivers, and the educational piece starts playing a huge role in us to be able to deploy these in our rural communities, not only in rural, but just in a city aspect overall, to be able to educate everyone in the electric school bus to show what and how these can work, and what the savings and the efficiency are of an EV school bus. Just my last slide here is an EV school bus deployment in the United States. As you can see, this is total registered of in service is 1,506 throughout the country. Indiana ranks in the right there at the top 10. I will share with you that at the end of 2025, as the funding and the grants and all everything gets completed and we continue to deploy, we will be close to 100 vehicles, as we have 53 now. That's showing 49 on that slide. But we have 4 others that were deployed, so that gives us our 53, and then we are looking at 50 plus to be deployed in 2025. So you can see Indiana, for rural communities, 85% of our electric buses, or all of our buses, diesel and electric, are implemented in the state of Indiana in rural communities. And once we deploy those through 2025, that puts us in the top 5 for EV school bus deployment in the United States. And that just shares with you the commitment that Curlin Bus Sales and Thomas Built Buses have and believe and understand and want to share, not just the total cost of ownership with the EV bus, but also with what it does for our community, what it does for our students, the safety, the well-being, and the enhancing of the environment. It makes sense for us, and we will continue to track and work with our school corporations to help them obtain these if wanted. And we hope that this is good knowledge for you all to share with some of your peers as well. Thank you.
Dave, thank you so much for that interesting presentation and all the great work that Curlin is doing throughout the state of Indiana. Our next speaker is no stranger to alternative fuels here in the state of Indiana. Lynn Stafford is from True Alternative Fuel Systems. Lynn, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Carl. Appreciate it. What I want to do this afternoon is just make a brief presentation. I'll be sharing a few of our projects that support the program, which we felt was entirely in alignment with the mission for clean cities and communities, providing solutions for rural communities. But first, I want to start with a little background about STOG. We are a designer and manufacturer of biofuel alternative fuel systems for CNG and propane. We offer total conversions, kits, parts, maintenance, and training. We incorporated and began production in 2011, converting 100 trucks in the UP for Clips mining operations. We work closely with MSHA, the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Adam Goldstein, our owner and director of engineering at STOG, recalls MSHA being as much like OSHA, but without the sense of humor. Safety and performance was absolutely key for these folks. And during the process, and after several design iterations along the way, we were green-lit to start our system production and conversions. I will tell you that the process was frustrating, but we are ultimately very grateful for this process because it helped make us a better organization and delivering one of the safest systems on the market. In 2018, Stog was acquired by Eco Vehicle Systems, and Eco eventually went out of business. And after following a non-compete clause in our agreement, we reopened as True Alternative Fuel Systems in 2022. Indeed, many rural areas are challenged by flat or worse declining revenues. We know environmental issues are important to rural communities, as well as cost-effective energy security. For all of us here at True, we believe that an educated consumer is our best customer, and Drive Clean Indiana is the first stop for you that can guarantee a well-informed trajectory to your transition decision-making. As part of the program, I have several videos I wanted to share with you. This was actually in one of the events that happened in Ohio. One of our clients is the Muskingum County Sheriff. You'll be introduced here to Captain Jeff Lecoq. And Elise, if you want to run that video, it'd be terrific.
Shots fired, 147 Maple Street. Get back up.
Roger that.
The cost savings, the price of propane is considerably cheaper than the price of gasoline. We found out that there's a longer interval between oil changes. We have had no reliability issues. These cars have not been any harder to maintain than the regular gasoline-powered vehicles. These vehicles can typically go 7,500 miles between oil changes, whereas before we were doing 3,000-mile intervals on gasoline only. We run 31 primary response cars, and the average deputy will drive about 30,000 miles per year. We started in 2015. We started with 2 Taurus police interceptor vehicles. That was our first conversion package. And then every year we've added anywhere from 5 to 6 cars to the program. It's been an easy process for us. Our local fuel provider was the Energy Cooperative based in Newark, and they partnered with the Stog company. And that's how we got started with the program.
Okay, thanks, Elise. The next video, many things, it's a double feature.
Sorry about that.
Roger that, no problem at all. This has been a terrific experience across the board, working with the Muskingum folks. Clearly, there's a lot of creative emergence that can be found once we start getting in a relationship. It develops trust, and I think we can all move forward with the attitude that we can get things done. You can get what you want from where you are to where you want to go by looking at all the opportunities, the vendors, and the programs through Drive Clean Indiana. This is an organic opportunity right now that Adam came across. We have a shop in Anderson, Indiana. We've also we're doing a propane or CNG vehicles for the Muncie Police Department. As many of you know, in the case of CNG, it's adopted by way of first a refuse department, and then as you try to get more horses to the cart, we want to get to a bigger return on investment. They then follow up with other members of the fleet to go ahead and be converted. So we had the opportunity to work with Anderson Community Hospital, a fantastic organization. And here's a little bit more about that process and how we got that opportunity.
Flagship Enterprise Center would have a pitch competition.
We were approached as a relatively new business in Anderson to participate. I thought it was a terrific, exciting idea. We got to meet a lot of community leaders. We got to meet other small businesses
Because we're a small nonprofit, we need community partners to come alongside us to sponsor the event. We know the folks at Community. When they were willing to sponsor our event, the contestants and the audience saw that Community Hospital was interested in what's going on in Anderson.
For my company, we couldn't have asked for a better prize. We got Community Hospital as a customer.
I oversee the police officers and security of the Anderson campus, and I'm also tasked with the vehicle fleet. Tom Bannon, he contacted me and said that he'd been made aware of the company at a recent meeting. I told him I was familiar with them.
We convert vehicles to run on alternative fuel. The vast majority of conversions that we do are biofuel. We do natural gas conversions in addition to propane. Really, what we're doing is just adding a second fuel system.
I knew it was a great product. I have a personal friend. He's always ran his personal vehicles and company vehicles off propane. It's good that the hospital is able to support a local business, not only one local business, plus a long-standing company being Donahue Gas, where we get our propane from.
I thought it's cool anytime a vehicle can be on propane, as much as they drive around to the different places. It makes you proud to be part of it, doing the one thing we sell, trying to help out as wherever we can there.
The foundation's always been a big supporter of not only departments within the hospital, but across the community.
Community Hospital is a consistent supporter of so many different areas in the community.
It's the partnership that the foundation wants to have with the community to improve the quality of life.
I look forward to seeing a whole lot more community vehicles out there when I'm driving around the city and seeing the little black diamond says propane on the back of the vehicles. Look for those. We did that.
Thanks, Elise. There's proof positive that a picture is worth 1,000 words. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. If you have any questions about alternative fuels and their use throughout rural Indiana, please give us a call. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for that presentation. And our final speaker today, and not last, is Mr. Craig Anderson of Orange EV. Craig, the floor is yours.
Carl, thank you so much for including me in this process. Great presentations so far today, and then now it's my turn. But we appreciate the opportunity to circle up and talk about the great use of electricity in terminal trucks. If you want to move ahead a slide, Elise. Go ahead, one more. Thank you. So Orange EV, we are a manufacturer of electric terminal trucks. These trucks are referred to as yard trucks, shunt trucks, spotter trucks. And what they do is we essentially move trailers around in a distribution center. Some of the big distribution centers like Amazon, Meijer grocery stores, those sort of things, we do that. But also in the rural environment, we do a lot in the agricultural sector. We have a relatively somewhat new customer and just outside Warsaw, Indiana, that is a large egg producer. So you'll find our trucks not only in the big cities, but out in the rural communities as well. So we started our company almost 15 years ago in Kansas City. That's where we manufacture not only our trucks, but also our charging cabinets. Our first customer was DHL in Chicago. And that truck, we've been commercially deployed. We started 15 years ago, been commercially deployed for just over 10 years now. And that truck is still running. Same battery pack, same everything, and continues to perform spectacularly well. And from that first truck that's been deployed, DHL made the decision to convert all of their yard trucks across North America to Orange EV electric trucks. So our process is people are very, very happy, not only from a carbon reduction standpoint. Each truck will reduce about 160 metric tons per year of carbon dioxide, significant amount of NOx, and fine particulate matter. At the end of this month, I believe our numbers, that's an old number up top there, we will have nearly 1,700 trucks deployed across the USA and across Canada as well. And we're looking to deploy here in the not too distant future into Mexico as well. So it's been a great process. The company now, with our new manufacturing facility, we've grown significantly. We have over 500 people based across the country, both in service and in our manufacturing facility. If you want to move ahead another slide, keep going one more. One more slide. Yeah, there's just a map of where we are currently deployed across Canada. We're somewhat recent into Canada within the last 3 years, and we're just building that marketplace out right now. Our headquarters is in Canada, is in Oakville, Ontario, and we have a small warehousing parts distribution center there. And then we're hoping to fill in those blank holes in the United States there, as well as we continue to grow. Go ahead and move on. That's what our truck looks like. And essentially, if you're going into a distribution center, these are pulling the trucks out of the dock and placing them in the yard to be moving, ready for an over-the-road carrier to do this. So these are batteries, depending on the truck that you're using, will operate for anywhere from 24 hours. I've seen some of our trucks be operating in the yard for as much as 28, 29 hours without charging. And our fast charging chargers that we manufacture will charge these trucks up in about 2.1 hours top to bottom. Go ahead and move on. Keep going. One more. There you go. We also, our truck is what we call our battery chemistry is an LFP battery or a lithium iron phosphate battery. It's very, very stable battery chemistry. We see a lot of things. You've heard some things in the news over the last year in Chicago with Teslas, where they're very susceptible to cold weather. We've had none of those issues with our trucks. If you go onto our website, we have a study that was done up in northern Minnesota where our trucks were running in 30 below temperatures for almost a whole week. The diesel units had pretty much shut down, running blended fuel, number one, and number two fuel with additives, and the electric trucks just kept right on moving without an issue. But we've never had a battery fire, so very stable, not susceptible to thermal run. One of the great things about this is our first truck that we came out with, which is the one there on the left, the E-Triever, that has an 81,000 gross combination weight rating, which is that's going to carry about the same payload that a normal tractor running up and down the road can do, about 45,000 pounds. But 81,000 is the weight of the truck, weight of the trailer, weight of the payload. So, but that's the most deployed electric truck in the yard space in the world, the E-Triever. Then one of our relatively new trucks that we have out, we moved to the Huskies. If you notice, we're naming everything after dogs here because they're called yard dogs. The big Husky, which is used in a lot of the ports across the United States, those will haul exceptionally large loads. Their gross combination weight rating is 181,000 pounds, which is going to give you somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on the weight of the trailer, about 130,000 pounds load capabilities from a payload, which is almost 3 times what a road truck will do. So really incredible. And those trucks will run over 24 hours with a load on that, moving hundreds and hundreds of trailers per day through multiple shift operations. So go ahead and move on. This is just an example of our middle of the road charging cabinet that we also make in Kansas City, Missouri. And all of our charging cabinets can be placed outside, they can be placed inside, safe to place them inside. But this particular charging cabinet, what's unique about this is it can actually be placed on wheels. We have a lot of people that may move a facility, they may renting a warehouse, and then they decide that they want to move. They can simply just roll this charger up. It hooks up to a 483 phase connection box with a 60 amp breaker. Most every place that we go into, unless we're in a vintage building pre-1940s, is going to have that infrastructure. It's a very low voltage draw in the system. So in most cases, it's a 3-wire hookup, very simple. We all could probably do that ourselves. Don't have to get electricians involved or the power companies or those sort of things. So we make it really easy for our customer to dip their toe into the alternative fuel environment. So that's our small charger. And that's the most deployed charger. Not everybody needs the fastest charger in the marketplace. Go ahead and move forward a slide. And here's just another example of our heavier duty trucks. So we're starting to see these further deploy and the acceptance of these in the marketplace, in the ports right now, both on the West Coast, East Coast, and then also down in the Gulf of Mexico ports, or Gulf of America, I guess now. So those are really becoming very, very commonplace out there. And the other thing that's amazing about this is a lot of the drivers are my age, and we don't like change. I don't like change. And they say to me, Craig, I'm not going to drive the electric truck. I've driven a diesel for 30, 40 years. I don't like the change. Once we get the driver into the truck, whether it be a demo truck or their permanent truck, within about 5 hours, the guys come back to me and they said, Craig, I was wrong. This has absolutely changed my life. I don't have that dirty diesel smoke blowing up all day long into me. I don't have this loud rumbling piece of equipment. And it really, really makes a lot of sense. The other thing from our customer standpoint, are we not only helping people meet their environmental goals and reducing their carbon footprint, but we're also helping them with their profit and loss statement. While our trucks may be a little bit more expensive than the diesel, the cost of operation and of both maintenance and of eliminating their diesel fuel costs is actually saving companies a significant amount of money. We could show companies in our total cost of ownership analysis an immediate payback in some cases with a grant through Drive Clean, or even without a grant. If they're really utilizing the truck all day long, we're showing a sub 2-year payback in many of our trucks and in many of the operations. So not only are we reducing our carbon impact, but we're also helping people improve their bottom line by keeping more money in their pockets. The trucks, what's interesting about the electric trucks, they have no radiator, they have no transmission. So the complexity of these trucks, it's a very simple piece of equipment, but how they work together is truly, truly amazing. What we do for people we're educating the environment. This is new to a lot of people. We've been in business for 15 years, but this is new to many. What we offer is we will bring in on a flatbed truck a charging cabinet and a truck for someone to operate for a week or 2 weeks free of cost, and give them the opportunity to see how that truck will perform, test the acceptability with the drivers. And I will say this is we really have been fortunate, in 99.9% of all the drivers that are in this truck, they absolutely love them. And the other thing, the chief financial officers, controllers of the company like it because we're helping them reduce their cost and help reduce maintenance. The other thing that's important, if you take our first truck, soon to be 1,700 plus trucks out there, and take those, they're almost 99%, 98.7% uptime in operations. If you can compare that to diesel operation, which is nowhere near that. But the reliability and the performance of these trucks is spectacular. And now that we've had them commercially deployed now for over 10 years, we have the maintenance history that we've compiled on our trucks, and we've had the maintenance history that's been shared with us from some of the biggest operators of what it costs them to run the trucks. And we cost about 2/3 less to operate our trucks. Taking the fuel out of the equation, just the maintenance cost is 2/3 less. And then the fuel is obviously, there's no diesel fuel burned. Why don't you go ahead, a couple more slides there. Go ahead, one more. Keep going. There we go. How we perform our service and maintenance, we are a OEM direct, original equipment manufacturer. So throughout the United States, and there's more, this is a little bit older slide, we have designated service techs equipped with trucks. So we perform all of the maintenance on our customer site. So we'll pull in completely equipped with parts, do preventative maintenance inspections, do any issues where there's a breakdown, where something happens, we can come in and immediately repair those. The other thing that we do, companies that operate their own maintenance facilities and shops, we will come in and actually provide the training to their mechanics and help them get certified and trained on operating our pieces of equipment so they can perform the maintenance themselves. But most of the customers have us perform the maintenance right on their facility, right on site. They don't have to take the truck out for maintenance. We come right there to do that. And the ability for us to respond if somebody calls us, 75% of the time we're out there that day, and the rest of the time we're out there the next morning to make sure that that uptime that we, trying to get to that 99% plus uptime on the vehicle. And what we've seen, people adopted our trucks and our technology, what they've determined is they don't need quite as many trucks in the yard as they did before, because our trucks are more efficient, they're faster, they're quicker to respond, and cheaper to operate. Go ahead and move on. All of our trucks are hooked up to telematics. And here's kind of the neat thing. If you can look at that little chart to the left, that's just showing the energy usage going down. And then it's showing the energy putting it back into the truck going back up. Well, what we do for our customers is we provide them a scorecard through our telematics each month that actually shows them, hey, this month we reduced X amount of CO2. We reduced X amount of NOx by deploying this truck. And we also show them the cost of, if you were using a diesel truck compared to an electric truck, we plug in their energy cost for electricity, the diesel cost for electricity, and show them monthly what they've saved by deploying that electrical truck. So that's a huge valuable tool, not only for our customers reporting, but continuing every month to validate the decision that they made by going to our electric model. Go ahead and move to the last slide if you want to. Keep going back. Yeah, keep going right to the last slide. Keep going. One more. There we go. So this, not that slide, back up. The picture of our manufacturing plant. We just went past that. So we moved into our new plant about 2 years ago now. It's about 500,000 square foot manufacturing plant in Kansas City, Kansas. You can't see the building. There's another 100,000 square feet of warehouse space where we manufacture our charging cabinets. But this particular space is our manufacturing space. And our first truck, experimental truck before it went to the marketplace, was actually built in a garage by 3 people. And so now here's where we're at. And then we move from there to 50,000 square foot, 100,000, and now in this 500,000 square foot facility. But in our marketplace, we're saving people money, helping the planet, reducing our carbon imprint, but it's still an educational process. While ourselves and a lot of people on this call are familiar with alternative fuels, a lot of people are not. So a big part of what we do is educating the marketplace, not only of the environmental benefits, but actually the operating benefits that help people put more green in their pockets as well. So if anybody has any questions at any time, please feel free to reach out to me. We'd love to sit down and talk to anybody and have an opportunity for them to demo our truck. And at several of the events, we often bring out of our trucks to the Drive Clean Indiana events and give the members and the attendees the opportunity to hop in with me and drive that truck around the parking lot. And the interesting thing about it is we can talk all day about it, but until somebody sits in the seat of that electric truck and sees how it works, it really is a game-changing opportunity, changing hearts and minds, that this is the future.
Hey, Craig, thank you so much for that presentation. As folks, if you have questions, please put those in the chat. I've had a few questions that have come up, and this is one that we're experiencing literally almost daily. So, and I'm just going to throw this out to all of our speakers today. So given today's political climate, how would you recommend the client rural community moving forward with any American fuel project? Any suggestions on that? So again, I think what we're seeing is with a lot of the rural communities we work with, and given the current climate that we're in the United States, they're just asking, so how would you recommend us moving forward with an American fuel project, natural gas, propane, electric project? So anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, I can say a couple things, Carl. You know, what we have seen once we, especially here in Indiana, it's been great. Drive Clean Indiana has really helped not only us, but also helped our customers dip their toe in the water. But what we've seen is those first few trucks, they really want to make that decision with a grant involved. But what we have seen is, because we've been able to save people so much money in operating our trucks, and they're so efficient, less costly to operate, that now if a company has 60 or 70 different locations, they're saying, hey, maybe I don't need the grant or the incentive to make this decision. So what we see people doing, they may have a grant in one location, but they have another facility where there is no grant opportunity. They're going to make that decision, but on their balance sheet and whatever they do is they kind of take those funds that are available through the federal government and just spread it out over everything, the cost savings, not necessarily just at the one location where they receive the grant monies, but also over the other location where they didn't receive the grant money. So that's how they kind of look at it holistically. But I do think that the funds that have been available in the past have helped people take that first step in going to alternative fuel. But we're so bullish on how efficient our equipment is. We don't think that if those grants do shrink, we think we're going to still continue to command a market space.
Great. Thank you for that, Craig. Anybody else?
Yeah, Carl, it's Lynn. One of the things I wanted to add about both propane and CNG as an alternative fuel, I think decision makers should take a look at the cost benefits for all of these. We feel, and we have shown that the return on investment is, well, it's worth its own money, because the ROI, depending on the amount of fuel capacity used, will only take as little as 1 year to maybe 3 years when it comes to propane. Plus propane, the installation, the infrastructure is really, truly one of the most cost-effective things there is. With the use of these fuels, there is there's no scarcity in regard to fuel because you essentially have two tanks. So you double the capacity, and I think that works for a lot of people. Certainly did for law enforcement. So no anxiety there. And so it's just a matter of taking a hard look at what's available, doing the work, the process. A lot of times, some vehicle duty cycles are different, and there may not be the perfect solution for you. We've come to understand there's no silver bullet right now, but given that all of the clean cities and community groups are fuel neutral, and Washington supports these other types of fuels, it's worth to take a look at everything available. And as we've all said, Drive Clean Indiana, Carl and his team can help you get from where you are to where you want to go.
Thank you. Any comments, Dave? Any comments you want to make?
Yeah, I would just piggyback off of what both of them said on the Drive Clean Indiana piece. I mean, without their support, without their help, without their knowledge, we would not be able to bring the educational piece to our customers in the school bus industry. And then beyond the total cost of ownership, but beyond the funding that is there, if the funding goes away or we see it in a different perspective here in the near future, just the goodness or the quality of life that these fuels, alternative fuels or options to fuels, whether EV, propane, gas, diesel, as clean diesel is a prominent in our industry. All those things of just educating yourself and working toward having everybody on board from top to bottom in your community or the decision makers to make those decisions. But lean on your coalition to help you with that process would be my recommendation, and then go above and beyond of what we started this all out with of the zero emissions, of what is good for the community and the environment.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Stephen, we had a question about would you have any recommendations to any of our rural communities that might be interested in attending the upcoming Transportation Energy Partner event in February of 2026?
Yeah, thanks very much, Carl. Appreciate your queuing that up. Yeah, I would just say that, anyone interested in clean fuel, clean energy, clean technology is more than welcome to join us in February for our Energy Independence Summit, annual event in DC. 2 days, two and a half days. It's largely spent in thought partnership around policy issues that are most relevant for this space that cuts across OEMs, industry partners, the Clean Cities and Communities Coalitions themselves, and then direct engagement and conversation with members in Congress. So my advice would be to connect with your Clean Cities and Communities Coalition. In this case, obviously, Carl doing yeoman's work, leading the organization, and the whole team at DCI. And we do our absolute best to ensure that it's a broadly inclusive space and creates opportunities for anyone at any stage in their career or their familiarity or awareness of this work to engage thoughtfully and meaningfully in the work of advancing clean fuel infrastructure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. And we have information posted about the TEP event on our website, and you can learn more about that. And again, as Stephen said, you can feel free to reach out to any of us here at Drive Clean Indiana, or currently with Stephen in Washington, D.C. So at least why don't you forward that, and if we have any more questions, please feel free to put those in that. So just a couple of things going on with the Clean Cities portfolio, a couple of the events. You can see some of the events that literally are happening this week. It's Drive Electric Week, and so we are participating in numerous events throughout Indiana, and feel free to contact us on that. We've got an upcoming Indiana Clean School Bus Consortium webinar at the end of October. And next slide, please. And then as Stephen just talked about, the Energy Independence Summit. Next slide, please. And then, we are really planning a lot of our events. We've got a whole host of events for the remainder of 2025. So please look at our website across the state of Indiana. But one of the things we wanted to get on your calendar, March 11th is at the National Truck Equipment Association meeting. We host our spring kickoff, and the spring kickoff will take place at the JW Marriott, hosting this on March 11th. So this is a live event on our website. We'd love to have you. We'll have various stakeholders from throughout the United States will be attending this. We have been doing this. This will be our 3rd annual breakfast, and we've always had an Indianapolis Speedway flair to it. So I'm looking forward to that. We will be increasing the attendance size this year, so please sign up early, and we're looking forward to that just because it kind of kick off where we're going as a board and some of the upcoming events that we're planning for 2026. So just ending on a couple notes, I just had a couple other questions that had come through. I guess this one's directed at Dave. Dave, so why does it still make sense for rural school districts and school districts to continue moving towards electric?
The total cost of ownership, even without funding, we can show you with our total cost of ownership analysis that we can plug in your diesel cost versus your electric cost, and in year about 7 or 8, you will start seeing the savings toward that total cost of ownership using a 10-year lifespan for a school bus. Again, the environment, the zero emissions, the quietness, the safety, a lot of safety features that come with the electric school bus. Students that are able to ride on this behoove from the pollution aspect of it, the noise pollution aspect of it. We do see a market still moving forward. We don't know what that market is going to look like because we've dipped our toes in it. We've had a lot of grants, a lot of funding opportunities in the past. We still have some of that going on today. We just don't know what that's going to look like here in the near future. But when you look at total cost of ownership versus any other product of fuel that's on the market, the EV with the telematics to be able to utilize when we charge and when we don't charge saves the school a tremendous amount of funding versus the cost of diesel or any other fuel that's on the market.
Great, thank you for that. So Lynn, there's another question I think towards you was so I know we've had working with you, Lynn, a lot of success on deployment of dual fuel vehicles. If you could name one biggest benefit to a rural community that's looking at implementing dual fuels, why don't you just talk a little bit about that?
Okay, thank you, Carl. Obviously, there's probably several that come to mind. One is it truly is a program that can pay for itself over the course of time. When you look at the assets on the ground, oftentimes there's just not the cash to invest going forward. While and if that's a consideration, there's an interim where by taking the vehicles that are setting and part of your fleet, in this case, let's say converting them to propane, you can save up to $1 a gallon. And so the more you use, the more you save. But then these savings can go back into your program directed toward electric or any other program that you're looking at to satisfy the trajectory of your where the community wants to go with their fleets and attending to the environment. So that's one thing. The other thing is that installation, the infrastructure is highly cost effective, can turn around very, very quickly when it comes to propane. And you have a local provider of the propane that you can trust And again, for all of us, this is one of the things that as we work through Drive Clean Indiana, this at the end of the day is about relationships and developing trust. And I think you're in good hands.
Thank you for that, Lynn. And I think the last question that came in, I think you've already answered this, Craig, but I know you talked about the majority of client running diesel, some of the cost environmental savings, but let's just maybe highlight one of the projects we just recently implemented with you, the NTN drive shaft project here in Indiana, and maybe some of the highlights of that project. So I know we just had the ribbon cutting last week, so maybe just a little bit about that.
Yeah, Carl, and thank you for allowing your team member, Jonathan, to attend that. It really was an interesting thing. The president from Japan of NTN Drive Shaft had attended the meeting, and this is really an important thing for some of these companies that have sustainability goals, and many of them even that are publicly traded companies are saying, hey, we're going to reduce our carbon footprint by X amount of time. And really, oftentimes they haven't really done much in that direction, but this allows them to get to that particular step. But one of the most important things I thought down there is we had all of the drivers that were there that are going to be driving that truck for that day with the management. Everybody's interested in this. And every one of those drivers came up to us that day and says, Craig, thank you so much. This vehicle is actually going to make my life much easier to do this. But for that company, we're helping them meet their sustainability goals, but we're also helping them reduce the cost, become more competitive in that automotive sector in which they're very, very much involved. But really, I think a huge impact there was really the great information that the drivers provided back to us and what a positive impact those pieces of equipment were on their life and their day-to-day. Because oftentimes they're putting in 8-10 hours a day, each one of these drivers, into that truck, and they're spending a good part of their life in it. And it's just a better, quieter, safer piece of equipment for them. But what was really encouraging, everybody in that company was involved and proud that that truck was there, that they've made the leap to move towards the alternative fuel and reduce their carbon footprint as a company.
Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank our speakers, Stephen, Dave, Lynn, Craig. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support over this project. This project literally is coming to an end. This is our last deliverable under this endeavor. This information is available to all, in not only in rural communities, but I think it has a lot of viability with others that are interested. But this, again, would not have been possible without the great partners that you hear on our call, and again, through the various other 6 other clean cities and communities that we worked with across the United States. And this has been a very successful project. Congratulations to TEP and the great job that they have done leading us across the country on this. And, we look forward to continued success on the implementation of alternative fuels. So with that, I just, again, want to thank you all for your time today. Any questions on alternative fuels? I will call them Clean American Fuels. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And if it's just to get a phone number, a connection, but please stay tuned to our upcoming events and webinars. We do have some surprises coming up. October 29th, we are going to be starting a new program. And this one will be in person in Maryville, Indiana, October 29th of this year. And we'll be highlighting members, as you've heard on our call today, but talking about things that are going on in Washington, D.C., to our state, and then the implementation of some of the newer technologies and opportunities that currently are available in our state. So we're taking, our board is taking a leadership role here in our state to be, a leader of American fuels. So again, please look at our website. We'll be making some changes to that very soon. But again, We just need to take the time to thank everybody again for this great presentation, but also the great work that all of these presenters have done today on this project. So with that, thank you again, and it was nice to see everybody. So good luck, and we'll be in touch very shortly. Thank you.